All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for box office.
Yes.
So, time to put a chick in it and make her
Hey,
gay and lame.
put a chick in it. Make her gay and lame.
Yes. Yeah. So, we watched the Panderverse.
Yes. The new South Park hour-long special that's streaming on Paramount Plus.
Yes, and so I guess we'll talk about the plot of it first, and then get into the greater ramifications of it.
Yes. So Daniel, I mean, I'm a longtime South Park watcher, though I kind of stopped around 2016 or so when they had that big. Do you remember that big like multi-part season-long epic about the town getting gentrified and PC principal and all that other stuff?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it actually kind of had like a Avengers Endgame feel to me because like wow, okay, this kind of feels like the series has culminated, which is probably not what they intended.
Yeah.
Holy Ninja, apparently you've not been on Twitter. We'll talk about Cartman Kennedy in a minute.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, South Park lives rent free in my head on many occasions. Daniel, what's your experience with South Park in general?
In general, I've watched it off and on since it first aired. I actually remember when it came on, well, like '97, I think. Uh, and of course, I lived most of my youth, my childhood in Colorado. So South Park has a special meaning for me and anyone else who grew up in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, like they put Casa Bonita back on the map. They now Matt and Trey Parker actually own Casa Bonita now.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Matt
and
Stone and Trey Parker, excuse me.
yeah,
And
and yeah.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, from what I've been hearing, they might be building more Casa Bonitas here pretty soon.
Yeah, I heard something that they were putting like $800 million into expansion for it, which that's
Yeah,
pretty nuts. Like that's
yeah, yeah. But Ninja says, I haven't. I've been ignoring internet Disney talk. And yeah, I get that. And and yes, Chingus, I'm old.
well, you can't be old, and that would mean I'm old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's
That's
true.
impossible.
Yes.
So, so there's a few different threads in this episode, and I didn't quite see how they necessarily related. But of course, leave it to Script Doctor over at Midnight's Edge to thread it all together.
Yes.
So, so it's basically a special lampooning laziness in several different forms. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
so I would say that from like a humor perspective, I thought the B plot that we're not seeing in front of us here was actually the funnier of the two. Okay.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, because it was yeah, and yeah, that's what everybody's saying. Like, oh, the B plot is probably better than the A plot. Um, so so the A plot starts off where Cartman has a dream or a vision about him and everyone else in the town getting race and gender swapped. And he asks his mom, can you check into the bed to see if there are any Disney executives?
Honey, Kathleen Kennedy is not going to replace you.
Yeah. uh, yeah, and so then Cartman shows up one day at school and he tells all the other friends about it, and they're like, "Oh, come on, Cartman,
It's ridiculous.
that's ridiculous." And then he gets sucked into the Panderverse and he swaps out with his Panderverse counterpart.
Yes, who is because Cartman is well, basically a grand dragon type is
Yeah.
ironically a black woman.
Yes, right here.
Also, Daniel, can you zoom in on that a little bit? Like maybe hold control and scroll.
Let's see. No, I cannot.
Okay.
I think that's as big as. Well, here. Why don't I do this? We'll just look at Cartman Kennedy.
Okay, so okay, so that's the A plot. Cartman switches places with his Panderverse counterpart.
Yeah.
B plot is about AI and the fact that a lot of people our age don't really know how to do anything.
Yeah,
And that's Randy's story.
Yeah, Randy, yeah. So yeah, so Randy gets Stan and his sister up, and he's like, because he's the
You kids are you. I hear that you Gen Z kids don't know how to do anything for yourselves. So oven door's broken. Yeah. Do you know how to fix it? He's just like talking so condescendingly to them,
yeah,
and angry and condescending,
yeah,
like it isn't his fault as a parent they don't know how to do things.
yeah,
And, first, you take out your phone, and I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a joke about how you can look up a tutorial for anything on YouTube.
right,
Uh,
yeah,
Then you call the handyman, and then we go watch TV until the handyman shows up.
yeah,
Yes, Randy does in fact own the weed farm, which
yes,
actually struck me as a slight, how to put it, it's a slight plot hole with this whole thing, because in this whole
mhm,
B plot, he's presenting himself as an information worker who went to school for a geography or for his
uh,
geology degree.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're
Wouldn't it?
farming,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you want some free weed?
eh, well, right? I mean, he has his cash cow, even as the episode progresses. But more to the point, how is your farm functioning if you don't know how to do simple maintenance? Are you just re- how reliant are you on that handyman?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember when when he did what season was where he gets the farm. It was right around when it got legal, when it was legalized in Colorado, when
That would make sense.
yeah.
But anyway, so that doesn't take away from it. So it's basically it's all about AI taking information jobs, and a lot of people our age being stuck with student debt that they're still paying down, and they've learned all these informational jobs like Photoshop and
Yeah,
marketing and uh, e-commerce and things that AI can take away. When the assumption was always, oh well, if you get yourself a information job, you're gonna be like one of those plebeians whose job is taken away by automation. You're a skilled worker. And then
right, yeah.
quietly the handymen are on the ascension because people didn't bother to learn some basic things, and so now eh, so now they're just making money hand over fist.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the handyman's wearing fur coats and
Yeah,
driving
and,
Hummers and yeah,
yeah. Um, and so now the reason that there is a Cartman as Kathleen Kennedy
yeah,
is that in the Panderverse, there is in fact a version of Kathleen Kennedy who is just Cartman, who
yeah.
ended up replacing our Kathleen Kennedy a few weeks back, and that's literally all she says. It's like it's just progression through the episode. Like they're filming Bambi outside.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like, put a chick in it, make a gay and lame.
uh, and it's just like this constant progression of like more and more absurd as of a suggestion.
Yeah, and yeah, they show the Disney executives in there like Bob Iger, and they're like, we've pandered to everybody, and we're still losing money,
Oh
and we've
no,
got
my
to
stock.
yeah, my stag. Bob Iger's like that. We've got to pander harder.
And so I don't think we necessarily need to go through the entire plot because first off,
Okay,
it's basically two South Park episodes interwoven together.
right, yeah.
Because like either one of these would have been enough for an episode on its own normally, but they do manage to dovetail it all very nicely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It all comes together. Although I do want to say the part where Cartman's he's in the Panderverse. He's sitting in class and he's just like,
And even the Panderverse version of Cartman, the black woman,
yeah,
she is just basically Cartman, and it's just
yeah,
It's just that she hates white people and talks about the patriarchy.
Yeah. And of course they made Kenny an Asian girl.
Yes. And they did kind of break the rules of South Park in that, I guess, like to sell the fact that he's this Panderverse counterpart. They don't have. Yeah, you can actually hear everything that she's saying clearly.
Yeah, yeah. She said, "But I like big boobs. She's got big boobs."
Uh, then the other funny thing to me is that, well, that would be a spoiler, Holy Ninja.
Yes, it would.
But although I would ask, on the odds or on the average, how often do they kill Kenny?
Yes,
If I'm just saying, if you were a betting man.
yes.
Now I found myself laughing and giggling the whole time. They even after years of not watching it, it's still recognizably South Park. The characters are still the characters.
Yeah.
I would say that of all of the '90s sitcoms, like animated sitcoms, this is the one that has kept its voice the longest.
Yeah. Um, and it's kind of been like this, for most of its run. It'll have its good periods and then and have its
Mhm.
bad periods. Like the period you were mentioning where that whole long arc. I think a lot of people didn't like that very much.
I,
Um,
it's not so much that I minded the arc itself; it's just that it felt too good as a stepping off point. Plus, I kind of accurately predicted that they're going to keep running with the Mr. Garrison as Trump thing, and
right. Yeah.
that just seemed like it was going to be. It wasn't very funny to start with,
Hmm.
just because they didn't. The thing is, and this is kind of where I will talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of the episode, um,
Hmm.
from a comedy angle. Their strength is the ability to do what I call, or what Scott Adams refers to as the linguistic kill shot.
Yeah.
All these years later, when I think of Russell Crowe, I still think making movies, making songs, and we will fight around the world. You think of Barbara Streisand, Mecha Barbara Streisand.
Just said, yeah. Yeah.
Barbara, Barbara.
What I liked was like, well, I'm a very famous and important person. Do you know John Elway? No. Oh, so you're really famous and important, but you don't know John Elway?
Let's see here. What else? You know, um,
Do you like
uh,
fish sticks?
yes, Kanye West is still a gay fish to this day.
Yes.
It's like they're very good at pinning something on somebody. And so now
Yeah.
that's going to be attached to Kathleen Kennedy going forward. Is put a chick in it, make her gay and lame.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and from what some of the rumors that have been floating around, oh, Man Bear Pig,
Yep, can't forget Man Bear Pig.
I was super duper cereal.
Super cereal.
Um, but yeah, apparently from what the rumors that have been floating around is that Disney's not happy with this, even though to go into, I guess, start with some of the negative, or we well, the
That's yours.
positives.
Yeah, it's funny. It still feels like the show.
Yeah, there's
Um,
there's there's some good gags in there. Yeah.
you know, so there's the thing I immediately noticed was that one of the things about the modern panderversing is, how to put this, all of the female versions of all these different characters were actually very conventionally attractive, if not kind of knockouts.
Yeah, yeah, let me, my apologies for finding such a tiny image, but yeah.
Like, I mean, I noticed on Twitter that Asian female Kenny there was immediately getting people's attention.
Yeah. You got, Hispanic, Stan.
Yep, and Native American Kyle,
Yeah,
or possibly in, well, some,
probably Indian, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's Native American or Indian, but either way,
yeah.
um, but yeah, like they're all like, you'd think that at least the Cartman version would be, you know, tubby because she still eats like Cartman.
Yeah, and they do call her fat.
Yeah, that's like a 2000 supermodel definition of fat.
Right, yeah. Um, yeah, and yeah, and of course, and then when she gets swapped out into the our universe or the main universe, the other kids are like, "What? This? She's not Cartman."
What, Cartman can't be a black woman?
Yeah, yeah. PC principal sounds like the problem's you.
Um, uh, so yeah, it's like that's one thing I noticed, which that could just be a design decision. Like, if you're an artist, what would you rather draw? Um,
Yeah,
Also, it could be argued that if they'd I, actually, that tends to be more like secondary characters who get to be body positive. So maybe that is fitting.
yeah.
Actually, yeah, actually no. Now I think about it, if she kind of looked like Precious, then to make an old reference,
Uh,
um, that she would actually resemble Cartman more. So that would this might actually be the better design choice. Either way,
yeah,
it's kind of it's a question.
right. Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it's a potential weakness, but
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's overall it was a funny episode. I was laughing quite a lot.
you know,
The um, the negatives of it, and I think some people have kind of pointed this out, is they did seem to be to go a little easy on Kathleen Kennedy at the end. And they,
right.
they went really easy on Bob Iger, I thought.
Right, because Bob Iger is kind of presented as a victim of Kathleen Kennedy going to the Panderstone too many times.
Yeah,
Because that's how the Panderstone basically lets you make the same movie over and over again with a few cosmetic nods towards diversity, and
yeah,
she just overused it.
yeah, yeah. Um, and and then of course he had the whole thing with where Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy are at the coffee shop, and or they're at Shitty. Oh God,
Which the sign on
yeah,
the back said "shitty woke," which is kind of funny.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I won't use that voice ever again. Um,
Probably best for your future career prospects.
yeah. Um, but yeah, they were kind of she said she was getting like 10,000 letters a day, calling her the C word, and Carmen's like, well, it's actually 12 or 13,000 I was sending.
Yeah, it was all right. And it's like they were both part of a vicious cycle of she made worse things, and so he sent her more letters, which made her more angry. So she made more changes to piss him off. So he sent more letters.
Right.
Eh,
Yeah.
Now I will say that okay. So Cartman is never right, is the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like he is intentionally the worst character in the series.
Yeah. Yeah. And despite that, he's still the most popular.
Well, it's because I mean that's the common thing. Like in Family Guy back in the day, who was the most popular? Stewie, because back then he was a mad scientist who just said whatever he felt like.
Right. Yeah.
Bar- Bart was initially the most popular in The Simpsons back when he was a little hellion.
Yeah.
Um, Dogbert was always I always perceived Dogbert as being the most popular character in Dilbert because he was basically Scott Adams being an awful sociopath in ways that he was afraid he could never get away with in real life,
Yeah.
according to books I read of his,
Uh,
and on down the line.
yeah.
So it's like if Cartman is making rapprochement with Kathleen Kennedy, is he like Cartman never learns his lesson really? If he
That's true.
seems to be
Yeah.
learning his lesson, doesn't that kind of undercut the lesson?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, every single time he ever gets in trouble or something, he does something. Yeah, he never he never learns his lesson. It's just he goes back to being Cartman.
Yep. So that's one thing that's kind of interesting. Um, the, the other thing is that there's been suspicions that this might be too inside baseball. Like, a lot of people don't know who Kathleen Kennedy is in the
Yeah.
general public, so this just might confuse them.
Well, if they didn't know who she was before, they definitely know who she is
A-
now.
And that's especially where their ability to stick somebody with a label is important. Because, like when I saw that, Russell Crowe fighting around the world thing, I'd never really seen any of his movies because just wasn't something I'd done. But I've seen a few of his movies now. He's quite the actor. But in the back of my mind, when I first hear his name, making
Yeah.
movies, making songs, and we will fight around the world. All right, Tagger, where's the cancer? Well, I
Oh
can't
man.
fight cancer, but I can fight this child with cancer. Put up your dukes.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if that's somebody's first impression of Kathleen Kennedy, that is not a positive first impression.
No, no, no.
Because the kind of nice or the kind of reasonable woman who got stuck in the Panderverse and was replaced by alternate Cartman is not going to be the version that sticks in people's minds after this episode.
No, no. This is the one that's gonna that this is the version that's gonna stick in everybody's mind.
Yeah. But also, it's like they always. I think I remember commenting this to you over Discord as I was watching it. Like, if you agree with Cartman in the first act of a South Park episode, expect to get so like you're probably not going to be seen in a good light in the last act.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ninja says South Park makes me nervous around pangolians. I
Uh,
never knew they existed till the COVID
yeah.
special.
It's like an Asian anteater.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. They're like about the only bipedal mammal besides us,
Mm.
but they're bipedal dinosaur style where they have they're like have the long tail
Ah, okay.
because they climb in trees and they use their little claws to dig for ants and termites.
Ah. Hmm.
The more you know.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun.
Um, eh, now that yeah, so I mean, it is lazy to just call everything woke, which
Yeah.
is which was their other point. Like, hey, yeah, it's they keep again, like I said before, the problem is not put a chick in it and make her gay. It's the lame part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah. It's yeah, like and specifically like this part here. I mean, the whole this whole thing. They're specifically referencing the character in Willow, the TV show Willow. That of course it is. You can't watch it anymore because it got pulled. It
Yep,
was so bad.
it might show up on Tubi, but well,
Yeah,
hasn't yet.
but yeah,
Um, yeah. And the other thing is that uh, so they say that it's funny because it's true.
yeah.
Like I was serious. Like there have been some Marvel things that have come out. Like seriously, there was a version of the script before they went back to square one of the Blade remake, where he was one of an ensemble cast with three female characters who were more prominent in the script than Blade was in a movie about Blade. It's like this is funny because there's there it smacks of the truth.
Yeah.
Like name me a mainstream sci-fi franchise that that a few years back had a male had a male lead. Like Star Wars had Ray, Star Trek had Mike
What
Mikey.
Michael Burnham.
That's right. Um, and so just like it's just sort of a weird thing that's been going on for a while. So I would say, from like a factual perspective, is it or for have they correctly diagnosed the entire problem? Not entirely, but you also wonder. I've heard suspicions that this is not the first round of this, or not the last round of this.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, that this there could be a second one coming pretty soon, which I hope so.
Right? Bob Iger doesn't deserve to get off light.
No. But yeah, yeah, it's on obviously it's on Paramount Plus if anyone's interested.
Yeah, like I said, like most of my big laughs came out of the Randy Marsh secondary plot about the AI and the
Yeah.
college being worthless and people not knowing how to do anything.
Yeah,
It,
they go back to the University of Colorado, and then they, they get the catapult.
they order a catapult. It comes not pre-assembled, and so they
Yes,
hire the handyman to to make the catapult for them
yeah, and
to
then
punish the school because they're helpless.
yeah, and then they send the stone through the window at the school. So then the school just hires a handyman to fix the window.
Hey, Edwin,
Oh, hey, Owen, good to see you.
welcome,
But
welcome.
yeah, but yeah, it's good for some laughs if you're so interested in watching it. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and even if you haven't been watching South Park for a bit, the only thing that raised an eyebrow for me was the weed farms, and that was
yeah,
easy enough to just go, "Oh, okay, Mr. Marsh
yeah,
has a new job.
yeah.
Moving on."
Yes. but